really surrounded by Detroit. Hamtramck is kind of like a little town surrounded by Detroit. So, in case you're wondering why Hamtramck and why Bengali population, interestingly, Bengali population in Hamtramck represent between 20 to 25% of the total population of city of Hamtramck. And yet, it's really sad to see there is really no any kind of social resources exist to address these communities' unique needs. And with the current economic meltdown, this community is suffering with unemployment, the great rate of unemployment or underemployment. These are, by the way, just to mention, these are the community assessment that I have done previously with my other work, and I have been involved with this community for the last a little over a year since I started the program here. So these are the needs that I've been mentioning. They came from my previous study. And also, we found out that there is inadequate school programs to meet the needs of this population of children's needs. And also, there is inadequate or no programs or training to learn English or to help this population to integrate into the mainstream. To give you an example, one of the community, to do that, we interviewed community leaders, and one of the stories from one of the community leaders, her mother, she mentioned her mother, who migrated from Bangladesh, is a school teacher, and since she moved here, she really wants to do something here. So first thing, of course, you have to learn English. She said her mother went for some kind of English program that they offer. Speaking of inadequate, it's for a whole year she went, and her mother said she did not learn a thing from this whole year. And she said the teachers were really not knowledgeable, really didn't know how to teach, and so literally her mother said she really didn't gain anything from attending this for a whole year, pretty much a waste of her time. So that kind of gives you an idea of how inadequate programs that they offer. And another story of inadequate school program is a school, from the school, they arrange some kind of tour with the university, the local university, Wayne State, to take the students for a tour. And the person who arranged that didn't know how to do it. So it took the student there, no one's there to show them around. So these are a couple of examples of how inadequate of the little programs or whatever exist at this moment. And also there is literally no resources for women to address this community women's unique needs. So some of the strength, I would say many of the strength of this community, despite all this barrier, this community is very entrepreneur and hardworking. And they are, this community dedicated to their family and the children's needs. And also women, Bengali women are very progressive women. The Bangladesh itself is governed by women for more than 2 decades. So therefore, even though there are a lot of poverty exists and everything, but women in general from Bangladesh are very progressive women. So a lot of women living in Hamtramck I gave you one example of a mother who is a teacher. Many of the women has degrees, yet they're living in the community without any resources. My gosh, time is fast. And their willingness to integrate and their value, these community value education, really high value for education. And the other thing is they are desperately seeking for help. And once they got to know me and they're telling me, they're like, we need you. you have that understanding. We need somebody like you to help us. So that my goal was, my ultimate goal is to create, to build a Bengali resource center. But as you can imagine, this 2 months of project, it's not possible to, I mean, it's going to be pretty hilarious to if I go tell them that I want to build a community resource center. So I needed to prioritize. So it's a little funny, like if I tell them, you know, I want to build a community center, what kind of reaction are they going to have? So I needed to prioritize. So first thing first, I needed to build credibility. To my surprise, I mean, kind of surprise in a way. Also, it makes sense that I don't live there. So I needed to. Even though I'm from the same cultural background, but still, you know, this community has been. If you guys are familiar with marginalized community, there are so many people come to take advantage of them. Especially, we just passed the election years. So many election, you know, political leaders went there, pretty much used them to get their vote. So they had a lot of suspicion. Why am I here? What do you mean you want to make a difference? Kind of, literally, they were asking me, what do you mean you want to make a difference? We don't believe you, you just want to make a difference. I had to, I was like a room full of men, all men actually, they were like questioning me, you know, in the meeting. So anyway, at the end, I actually got their trust. So, and also during that meeting, we narrowed down their goal, and we found out that one of the first thing they need from all the needs is they need job, or the businesses that exist right now. I mentioned they're very entrepreneurial. They're not making money. They're pretty much kind of surviving, and they needed some kind of training to make them more marketable. So what I did, first thing I did, I needed to build some credibility. So I needed to kind of prove. Through my personal contact, I knew created a Detroit network for social innovators that's located in Detroit, and they just created this business incubator model that really helps facilitate, the program is kind of facilitate entrepreneurs to make them more marketable. And they were looking for clients so they can implement. Looking for community clients, they could implement this model, which was like absolutely great for me. So that was my personal connection, also my university connection in a way too. So I went ahead, we arranged a meeting, arranged a meeting and was did that. And my future, I mentioned, this is like a kind of beginning stage. I had to start everything from ground zero, nothing existed. So therefore, this was my narrowed down goal, but these are the future goals. I collaborating with many resources. These are just listed some. So some of the limiting factors of this was, I mentioned, I had to start from zero. Nothing existed. There is no field placement, no one working with this community. And also for this project the time was too short. And convincing people, but it took some time, but it did, I was successful at the end. And educating people. People are not very familiar with this field. The social work does not exist in the field, at least did not exist when they left the country or so they weren't familiar. So I needed to educate them. What is a social development? What is a social worker? What is their role? How they were wondering, how can you just do things without, some kind of something in return? And also election and the holiday season was also some limiting factor. People were really busy. I mentioned a lot of political leaders go to there to get their vote. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna read that. And I was afraid of over-promising because nothing existed. I needed to, I didn't want to over-promise and not being able to keep it. And it's a community division that could do hospital too. That was another. So anyway, community and stakeholder involvements were business incubator and community hospital leaders. In order to reach to the community, I needed to go through the multiple leaders because they are very active there, and bring community and meet. So these are some of the pictures of the community meetings that I had. And so, anyway, lastly, I just want to thank the BayPAC, that's one of the political leaders that is involved in that committee, and they are interested in the social factors. So I reached the committee to them. And the restaurant that provided in the meeting, they provided beverages and food, and created a network of social innovator, and of course, most importantly, the Big Island community itself. And my professor, Sandy Momber was a great inspiration for me to go on with this project. And Bill Vanderwill, he is the field supervisor, liaison, you all know probably him. He was actually so creative in terms of facilitating this to make this possible for me. And Tom Servanak of the People Community Services, who was met me and was willing to take the risk and take me in his the agency, and giving me the freedom of do whatever you want. You can use my agency for whatever you need. I think that's just huge. And Janet Ray, she was so great, because I started this committee right at the beginning, this project with a different project that I was going to do with my current field placement, and it didn't go through because my field placement were having some issues. And this is almost this is a dream that I had for a long time. I almost was like pushed, kind of like I didn't have a choice, but I approached Janet, and she saw my passion. She knows I had classes before with her, and she knows my passion, and she's like, Nasreen, this is what you want to do. She trusted me, and she's like, go for it. And she was really a great help in there. So thanks everybody inside. Any questions?
What's the next step for you in this project?
The next step, I mentioned I established the field, so my next step would be collaborating with more people. And the microcredit I mentioned is are you guys familiar with microcredit? Mm-hmm. So, microcredit is, do you know Grameen Bank? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Dr. Yunus, Professor Yunus, who is actually a Nobel laureate, he got a Nobel Prize for his idea of microcredit. That's where it's a very little loan they give to the community, to individual, kind of you form a group, and then and help them, make profit. So I am actually going to a conference in Bangladesh. It's called ICS International Social Consortium for Social Development, and there I'm meeting Dr. Yunus to kind of give me ideas about how to implement that with the community. So microcredit is one of my next steps, and collaborating with many other people. For example, just from yesterday in a presentation in a class, I found a link to NYU, one of NYU student who has been working in there. She had heard about my work and things. She's been looking for a connection to meet me, so I found a link to meet her. So that would be another, and collaborating as many people at many agencies as I can. So.
Is that it? You done?
Oh, she had a question. I thought you didn't want to.
No, go ahead, Stacey.
I was just going to say, I think that I really admire